The cashier's hands were shaking so violently that the receipt printer jammed, and when the manager slammed his fist on the counter behind her, my 6-year-old daughter screamed and buried her face into my chest. That's when the cashier leaned forward, eyes glossy with terror, and whispered something that made my blood run ice cold. If I don't smile, he says I deserve what happens after closing. I stood there frozen, groceries half-bagged, heart pounding like it wanted to escape my ribs. I was a single dad, barely holding my own life together after my wife died, and the last thing I expected on a random Tuesday night was to walk straight into someone else's nightmare. Her name tag said Lena. It shook with her chest as she breathed. She couldn't keep her hands steady, not even when she tried to hide them under the counter. Behind her, the manager loomed, tall, smug, watching her like prey that couldn't run far enough. Every time she slowed, he leaned close and whispered. She flinched every single time. "Move faster," he said loudly. "Customers don't like useless girls." I felt my jaw tighten. My daughter peeked up at me, confused. "Daddy, why is that man being mean?" Before I could answer, Lena dropped the bill on the floor. The sound was small, but the manager's reaction wasn't. He grabbed her wrist, just for a second, but long enough. "Do that again," he hissed, "and you'll regret it." Her eyes met mine, and I saw pure panic. She shook her head at me, silently begging me not to say anything. That was when she whispered it, the sentence that changed everything. "He locks the back door when we close," she said, barely moving her lips. "And he tells me I owe him for keeping my job." I paid and walked out without another word. But I didn't leave. I sat in my car, my daughter asleep in the back seat, and watched the store through the windshield. Years ago, before grief wrecked my life, I worked in corporate risk investigations. I knew predators like him didn't stop on their own. They stopped only when the light was too bright to hide in. When closing time came, I started recording. I caught him shouting, threatening. I caught another cashier crying in the break room. I caught the back door being locked. And when Lena finally walked out, eyes down, shoulders stiff, I stepped out of my car. She panicked at first, nearly ran. "I'm not here to hurt you," I said softly. "I'm here because someone should have stopped him a long time ago." She broke, right there in the parking lot. Years of fear poured out in gasping sobs. She told me everything. How he'd fired girls who refused him, how complaints vanished, how he laughed and said no one would believe a homeless cashier over him. She was sleeping in her car. He knew that too. That night, I made calls. Not to police. Not yet. I went higher. Corporate ethics. Legal compliance. Labor board. Media tip lines. I handed them timestamps, footage, names, patterns. Evidence so clean it couldn't be ignored or buried. For 3 weeks, the manager kept smiling, thinking he'd won. Then the audits hit. Then the interviews. Then the lawsuits. Employees started talking. Because fear loses its power the moment someone stands up. The day he was arrested, Lena was scheduled off. I drove her to the store anyway. We watched from across the parking lot as he was let out in handcuffs, screaming that everyone was lying. No one looked away this time. The company settled quietly, paid for therapy, back pay, housing assistance. And then, something no one expected, they fired the owner too. Turns out predators protect predators. Months passed. One afternoon, I walked into the same store with my daughter. She ran ahead, laughing. Behind the counter stood Lena. Her hands were steady. Her back was straight. She was the assistant manager now. When she saw me, she smiled, not the forced kind, the real one, the kind that says, "I survived." And as I watched her stand exactly where she once shook in fear, I understood the truth about revenge. It isn't about hurting someone back. It's about ripping away the power they thought they'd keep forever and giving it back to the people they tried to destroy.